Welcome to Built for This, the podcast where real estate meets real life skills. Hosted by Andrea Lane and Alissa Bickar, each episode features investors turning their unique edge into long-term rental success.
Hello and welcome to the Built for This show. I am your co-hostess, Alissa Bickar, the consultress, here as a solo operation. Usually I'm here with my partner in crime, Andrea Lane, but I have the extreme pleasure of doing a one-on-one interview today with Phil Ganz. He hails from Florida, Stuart, Florida to be exact, and he's been investing in real estate for decades. He's got 5 doors up and down the East Coast, and I am just so excited, Phil, to have you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Super excited to have to be on here.
That's awesome. And you know what? Most of what we talk about here is how you bring your real life skills into your real estate investments, because it's the real story. It's not the guru story that everybody hears out there about what you got to do and the new trendy thing. So, we always like to start these interviews with like, why did you get involved in real estate investing?
Good. That's a great question. I bought my first property at 21. It was not a triple decker. It was a condominium that it was the cheapest thing I could afford, right? So couldn't stay at my parents' house. I was the unintentional investor.
Gotta go. Can't have you here, but love you anyway.
That's exactly right. That's the way
So
that's the way it rolled.
did you live there and then
I
did you
did.
change the use case of the property?
Yeah, so what happened was I lived there, and then I then bought a property in Marshfield, Mass. So then that became an investment. Then I bought a property in South Boston. Then I sold my South Boston and my West Roxbury, and I bought a 3-family in Watertown. And then I used some funds to gut rehab it, and here we are, right?
And he no longer lives in Mass. Just saying. Hailing from Florida, most of us Northeasterners, we go south forever. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
get it.
quite
I
there
totally
yet.
get it.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting. You bought your first property, you lived in it, and then when you moved out, you started to rent it. I mean, that's kind of how a lot of people start their real estate investing journey, like you said, kind of sort of by accident. But that wasn't your last deal. And that's what's interesting. And what Andrea always asks on the heels of why'd you get involved in real estate is like, what do you love about it? Clearly, you haven't quit over a couple of decades. So, what do you love about real estate investing?
Look, it just goes up over time, right? Like, then I buy a single family in Fort Lauderdale, Coral Isles. It went down. I'm losing money on this. And I just want to tell people are like, are you losing? Yeah, but I don't really care. It's eventually going to go up. Like I bought it also to live in, and as the loser, and you're like, hey man, what do you think? Okay, I might lose a little bit in the beginning, but whatever. Like everything looks like a good deal over time.
If you give it enough time, right? You either
Correct.
so I love that, everything goes up over time. My father, was an immigrant, moved here to the United States from Italy and like built up the American dream, got involved in business and used all the proceeds to buy real estate. And he like you couldn't get the man to say sell. Like he like getting him to sell anything or say the word, okay, it's time to sell was like pulling teeth, right? Because, to your point, they're not making any more dirt. Everyone always needs a place to live. So when you're talking about you've got all these different properties, you don't just have one that you're hanging your hat on that you're hoping will fund your retirement. Real estate sounds like it's a piece of your strategy. It's a piece of what you're up to. And so digging a little bit deeper, inquiring minds want to know, what are some of the challenges or struggles you've had lately in real estate? I mean, I think you kind of started to allude to it.
Yeah, look, first, just for the audience, I got a 9-month-old baby Madison. I'm married. I'm in, Florida. I run a business full time as an owner operator for a mortgage company. So I don't have a lot of time. So my time is valuable. Things ultimately break. In fact, right before the show, I was dealing with in my 3 family, there's like water in the basement and all these things, and it's like stressful. Technology has made it better. I use an app called Thumbtack. You get a bunch of quotes, boom, get it done quick. Like that's what I use. I don't have time. There's a value to time, right? The only thing better than free is fast, right? Get in, get out, get it fixed. That's what I'm looking for, right? I don't have time. The reality is that when you have a newborn, all right, this is just like being like realistic, right? If you're a good parent, let's just assume you're a good parent, a lot of your energy will go into the newborn, right? And even running a business, I only have so much time I have. So I don't know if I would have kept everything if you weren't able to use the technology, because when you have a newborn, look, your relationships suffer a little bit. Let's be realistic. Your marriage doesn't like get better when you have like a newborn. It's impossible, right? Just want to be like real with people, right? And so it's like a struggle, right? Because you have less time. Like unless you're
Yeah.
unless you're a complete narcissist, like obviously, like your relationships overall are gonna get worse because you have to give everything you have or whatever remaining to the baby, right? You're like,
100%.
I don't even forget video.
Listen,
I don't even turn on my TV at this. Like, watch a World Cup. Are you kidding me? I got
you're
baby
like, I
Madison.
got
I'm
a
trying to,
human I gotta pay attention to over here. And you know what? It's
yeah,
very
I'm trying to get
true.
her not to like rip up the floors and put it in her mouth, right?
Yeah,
So,
well, listen, that we can get to lead paint exposure and all those disclosures a little bit later. But one of the things that I love about what you said is, I don't have time for that. And oftentimes when we're super busy or we're building our businesses, we have to be real intentional about where we place our focus and attention. So I love what you've said about, what did you say? Better than free is fast, because you need to get things done. You want to make sure they are done correctly, but sometimes waiting for the perfect thing is what costs you in the long run. Like
oh,
holding when
horrible.
you're
You just got
doing
to
a
get it
rehab.
done, right?
Yep.
There's a value to time. There's definitely a value to my time.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, forward to get things done as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah. So, you mentioned a little bit about your full-time owner-operator business. I love that. I feel like entrepreneurship saves the world. If you're in business solving problems, like that's the thing that gets to bring us into the future. So how would you say that your professional skills translate into your real estate strategy?
I think it's good, Look, I had worked for companies, and I think I built up skills over time, and then I was ready to become an owner operator. It's a completely different skill set. A lot of times when you're a W-2 employee, you might be a good, like what I call it, campaigner, right? Totally different skill being running a campaign than being an owner operator. Owner operator, you got to focus in on the bottom line here, right? Are we making money? Are we profitable? Where can we cut costs? Right? A campaigner just, you know, I'll tell you the issue of campaigners right here. They just uh, they look at a budget, and the first thing they say is, "We got to spend more money." This is so crazy, right? And you see this as in budgets, right? I gotta give you guys a story, right? I live in a single family, right? And I thought my good skills of being able to look at a budget and save money would be great, right? I live in an HOA community. In Florida and Texas, for all the people in the Northeast, if you're going to move down, pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, okay? This is very important. Pay attention, right? Because they create these HOA communities so the builders can put up massive amount of units and get around the zoning laws not within an HOA community. So you don't need, like, I give you an example. A town may say you need like a third of an acre to build. In an HOA community, you can need like a 16th. It's great. It's enough land, right? You can put a pool in, or an eighth of an acre, right? And so the issue is the people that want to be on these boards are campaigners. They don't want to be because they want to run a good business, right? And this is something really important, is if you're an owner operator. If you want to buy a condominium or you want to buy single families. In fact, buying single families is a great investment. In fact, I think they just passed some act, right? So you can't buy more than like 350 of them, right? Because why? Because they're that good of an investment, right? And so
Uh,
I'm just saying, if they limit you to 350, it's like I feel like now it's like, and not like I'm even close. I got like 5 or 6 properties, right? But if you see a store that say you can't buy more than X amount, that might be a good idea to buy that, right?
mhm.
And so I mentioned this, right, as an owner operator. People don't like me in my community, right? I got to cease and desist. I had to start a rival Facebook group, right? And I just
From the
keep
HOA?
yeah, you say why? Because the people that run these things, right? I get a quote. They say they couldn't get a quote, right, for landscaping. For people that don't know, your number one cost in a community is always your landscaping, right? 100%. They're like, yo, we can't get quotes. I go to the neighbor, like, the person that built our community was D.R. Horton, biggest builder in America, right? And the place next door, D.R. Horton also built like 2 years earlier. It's like Skywalker, Sky Ranch. I don't know. I got the landscaping quote, right? It was called Greenscape. And 40% less. So I thought as an owner operator, I'm going to be loved. I can save you 40%. I'm not talking about 2 or 3 like a rounding error. I don't have time to 2 or 3 because I don't want to cause waste for 2 or 3. 40, that's a big number, right? That's
So I just want to hold the phone here for a second.
yeah.
In an HOA, you are beholden to their vetted contractors. What you're saying is, I went outside the vetted contractor list and was able to see the writing on the wall about what non-competition does versus competition in healthy market. So I love the warning, like, especially if you're an investor. Know if you are looking to buy something that's in an HOA. Be very wary of their rules, regulations, and such, because, it can make or break your deal, especially if you're buying a rental property. Is it appropriate in there? Are they going to let you, sublet? God forbid. So there's a bunch of things that I'm hearing that you've learned along the way about being living in the property that you're improving, as well as improving properties where you manage them from afar. And like, as a mortgage company, as an owner of a mortgage company, what are some of the skills that you have that have given you a sharper eye inside of your real estate investing strategies?
I would tell you looking at budgets and being
Looking at
realistic,
budget. Yeah.
right? Really analyzing these budgets, right? And also I think like just interviewing people,
Hmm.
right? I know when people are not really telling me the truth, right? I mean, I have a pretty good eye for this now. You're like, well, what do you think? I mean, when people usually tell you the truth, it's the answers are usually shorter and to the point. I mean, shorter and to the point, right? Like if they don't give you, like, I'll give you an example. Like I say, hey, the landscaping looks hot. He said, well, I can't get a quote. I'm like, and then they start blabbling about how this is possible, right? It's suspicious when people talk for long periods of time, and I do, right? And so, like, I'm suspicious, right? And I think
I
that's
love
like
how
a
you
good
said
tip.
that in the same breath. You're like, look, dude, I know I talk a lot, but also I know that it raises suspicion, so I am aware.
Well, yeah. When it comes to their numbers, right? Like, can you
Right.
get it down? Can you save money, right? And that's what I would tell someone, right? And you have to do your due diligence and ask why people, if they're on certain boards or they're doing certain things, right? I would also say, but being an owner operator, you need to leverage your current relationships,
Yeah.
right? I'll
Yeah.
give you an example of this. You know, when I bought one of the properties in Fort Lauderdale, I had gone with the quote companies. I thought I was getting a good deal because I went with the company's insurance company, right? I worked for at that time a company, so I went with the companies, and I thought I was getting like an employee discount, right? That's nothing near, if you're if you're an owner operator of a business and you have a relationship with an insurance company, you're like, well, give me the number difference. Okay. What used to cost me, say, $10,000 a year, now it costs me $3,200 a year. So you're talking about a big savings,
Yeah.
right?
And that's leveraging your relationships to negotiate something that's going to make or break your deal. Again, you keep coming back to this essential principle is like people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And if you see your real estate portfolio as just some asset out there and not a business model of how to acquire income producing assets, that it's a different way to think about how you're going about buying your properties or why you're buying your properties or how to operate these properties. Andrea and I talk a lot about the systems that you need in place to be able to operate a successful real estate investment portfolio business because it's a business. You're an owner operator inside of your company. There are systems that have to work well together, and you have to know all the ins and outs of all the systems in order to make sure they all are working harmoniously, that they're not clashing or causing discord in your team with your people. You have said, look, my biggest skill is, yes, budget review. I get to dial in the numbers really well. I've got a good mind for that. But you've also said, I can evaluate people with a snap of my finger, and knowing that when you leverage your relationships, you can get better deals on stuff. So, again, looking at it with from a 30,000-foot view, looking at the broader picture, having those 7 systems of real estate dialed in and exacting so you understand each of those pieces is crucial to having a profitable real estate investment portfolio. It's not just a bunch of assets that have rental income, blah, blah, blah. There's systems for property management. There's systems for deal analysis. There's systems for rehabilitation and exit strategy. So, if you're listening to this podcast, please comment below the 7 systems and we'll get you out the free guide that we have about the systems that you need to build your real estate investment business appropriately. It's what Andrea teaches. She's been in business for 40 plus years. And so I have the privilege of being the pretty face out here on the podcast and doing some of the more fun stuff like interviewing, but the nuts and bolts, Phil, that you're talking about of knowing how things work and making sure they all work together, like Thumbtack, huge resource you just gave everybody. Thank you, because fast is better. Free is better than, what did you say?
Fast is
Better
better
than
than
free is
free.
fast.
It
Yeah,
just is.
fast
There's
is
the
better than,
value to time. Like, I
yeah,
don't have time. I just need it done, right?
right.
And,
Fast is
and some
better
people
than
do
free.
all this comparison. No, get it done. That's
Right
it.
on. Sitting on your laurels or waiting for it to be perfect is a recipe for lost money. Just saying. So, Phil, I'm so glad you've been here, and I do want to ask you a little bit about property management. I promised that I would. Do you self-manage all these properties
I
in your
do.
portfolio? Tell us a little bit about the experience of that.
Look, with technology, it's a lot easier. Just use like Thumbtack or something like that. If you need to call someone, you just call someone. It's that easy. You pay the realtors. Like one advice I'd always give people is when you deal with the realtors, and people don't like this, but I'm gonna tell you, I always pay them the most. I do. I want my properties rented the first and for the highest. So I pay right away. I don't even wait for the invoice. Money's going out immediately. And it comes to like Thumbtack, I pay people right away. If I owe you, money's going out. I don't wait for an invoice, right? I take care of it. So then you have good people that if you see them again and again, they'll want to do a good job for you and take care of it. I see people that like to, try to save money, but it's just foolish, right? The way that they're going about it because they don't value time, right? And, there's a value to time, a value to their time,
Yeah. And so I love that, valuing people's time, leveraging your relationships. Like, guys, are you seeing a theme here? Like, pay the people, pay them well, pay them early, pay them on time. Make sure that everybody feels appreciated, not only because you're nice to them, but also because you're on time with giving them compensation for what they've done for you. Real quick, entrepreneurship question for you. Entrepreneurship sometimes can be really isolating. You know, you kind of, yeah, you're the chief, the cook, the bottle washer, you're the buck stops here guy. But it can be lonely. And so how do you first of all, if that feels like it's true for you, yay or nay, and then also how do you go about solving that problem of being the only person at the top of the house?
Well, luckily I got in business, my mortgage company, I have a partner, and in life I'm married, right? So you don't have to be lonely. You just got to find the right teammates in life.
Yeah, I think that's
No
the
one
famous
does it
thing
on
though.
their own. This is the false narrative of TikTok and all these things. They look for heroes, right? The reality is that teamwork always defeats hero ball. I'll give you an example. Even in wildlife, 10 otters can kill a can injure a great white shark substantially, right? Same with seals, right? People think shark is like seal meat, whatever, but not 10 seals that want to attack the shark, right?
Yeah.
The teamwork always outperforms individuals. So you got to
Oh,
find good teammates.
that's right.
And it's the same thing, right? That I would tell anyone. You got to find good teammates. And I like that you have the system because I will tell you this that in systems, you're going to pay for education either way. I'm going to tell you people this. It's better to get that education from a system because this can be a fraction of what when you lose. Like a lot of this wasn't around. Like your system or Thumbtack, that wasn't around when I started like 27 years ago. Now you can go, oh, great, I can use your system and I can use Thumbtack. Off I go. Right?
Yeah.
Like I got a good way to go about it and win. You don't have to wait to win. It's easier to win in 2026 on July 15th than any point in history of the world.
And it's only getting better. Like we live in the time really that's like Tale of Two Cities. I'm not gonna go into my brainiac story about this, but it was the best of times, it was the worst of times. If you open a newspaper, but like why would you go on your phone? But anyway, and you read the headlines, it's all doom and gloom. How everything sucks and what trend you missed, blah blah blah. And once it's on the front page, it's already old news, first of all. And second, nothing of that is new. If you pay attention to the stuff that sucks, you're going to find more of it. But like you've said, it's the best time in history to be alive
I'll
right
give you
now.
an
And if you're
example.
looking for the opportunities, they're right there, but you got to be trained to look for them. You have to train
The
your mind on the
average
good stuff.
middle class family in July 15, 2026, take low class, don't even take middle class, we'll just take a poor person, right? Lives better quality of life with internet, hot water, access to medicine than the king of England in 1750. And that's what people don't realize. Someone barely getting by lives at a higher standard than the king of England in 17. And things overall are getting better for everyone. That doesn't mean people aren't suffering. But no one can make an argument that in the United States, right, that people are not living a higher quality of life than ever before. Just factually, you got all these great things, right? It's incredible, right?
So, can you bask in that, right? Can you let yourself see how good it is? We're so programmed as humans to look for what's bad, look for the problems. Hell, that's why I talk about entrepreneurship so much. It's because I believe we're always solving current problems. We're always making ourselves the experiment and going first and seeing what problems we can solve out there because this problems evolve just as our lifestyle does. We got to keep up. So I love that you're out there doing your thing. And so as we wrap up, can you share with us a recent win you've had lately in your real estate investing journey?
Yeah, I would say, look, I've had so many crazy things thrown at me. And I know you guys are gonna think of Thumbtack, but realistically, this thing has saved me. I'm playing. Like I said, I've had a 9-month-old, and I feel I've had more things that come up. And I'm a first time father, 48, right? So I've had so many things and lack of sleep. Like my little precious sleep, like it is great. I would say as an owner operator, things that you can easily offload. My biggest win, I would say, just embracing technology and being able to do it yourself, right? Being able to keep the 10%. I wouldn't have been able to do this a couple of years ago. It's all possible to do. It is now the right time to be an entrepreneur. If you've never been an entrepreneur, I'd say the best day is today. You know, there's that saying 10 years ago. That's nonsense. The best day is actually today, not 10 years ago.
Get started now.
Get started
Out of the mouth of
today.
Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where can people go to find out more about you and your mortgage company?
Okay, if you want to go to Next Wave Mortgage, you go to www.nextwavemortgage.com. If you want me, ask the mortgage expert either on Instagram or LinkedIn. And if you want to just, hey, I want to call you, 617-529-9317, 617-529-9317. I always feel like I give back. Don't be shy. Like, I'm just here to help, and I always want to give back. It makes me better, and it'll make you better, and together we can win.
Yeah, man, rising tide lifts all boats. And so it's been a pleasure to be here with you today. And thank you so much for sharing what you've learned along the way, being real, and just sharing what's up for you, because that's really what it takes to move the needle as a real estate investor and as an entrepreneur. Is be yourself, be real, because those skills are transferable when you're building your life, your legacy, and also your long-term real estate investment portfolio business. I am Alissa Bickar, your hostess for today, the Consultress, and we look forward to having you back next time. We have another amazing episode lined up for you right after this. Don't go away.
Thank you.
This wraps another episode of Built for This. If you're a real estate investor with a unique edge, apply to join us at builtforthisshow.com/guest.